permanent or a curl transformation, i.e. Jherri curl, Gina curl, is done on textured hair to transform that curl pattern.
Is Jherri and Gina the same thing?
It's the same thing. Back in the day, they called it Jherri curl. Now they're charging $1,000 for it and calling it the Gina curl. It was $35.
Miss Massey, say for someone who was getting a relaxer for a while, so their hair is straight now.
Jherri curl, what is that?
That's just what it's called, what they called it back in the day. Jherri, like the name Jherri. And it's probably spelled with a Jerri. But yeah, we called it the Jherri curl back in the day. And some brands was Wave Nouveau, Carefree. Those are some of the brands that they had back in the day.
And they have the ones in the box you can do at home, right?
Yeah, those are the ones that.
They used to be so ugly. I like the boy, you put it in.
Relaxer is done on texture or curly. And then it's going to straighten the hair. So y'all, this is just the basics of it. You're gonna actually be doing these on the floor. You still gonna go over this more in depth. Literally, this is one of them that you will find at Sally's. Chi has one. Who else has one? I can't think of who else, like what brands, but they all come in a box like this. You can buy like in bulk if you have a salon, and they'll come with each individual big bottle. Or if you go purchase like one, this is what it's gonna look like. It's gonna have at a minimum 3 components at least. Some of them have the activator, some of them don't. Some of them have a little cream, a little oil, or a leave-in conditioner you can put on at the end. But for the most part, what it's going to come with, if it has the activator, is you're gonna have your activator and your waving solution, which you're gonna put that in there, shake it up. That's what's gonna make it active. Don't forget the activator because it won't do anything without it. When you are buying chemicals, I know a lot of us do not get chemicals as often anymore. So I would buy any chemicals where you actually activate it. Because if you buy with it already in it and you don't use it often, you may end up wasting your money. I used to buy the big tubs of relaxer, but the less people started getting relaxers, the less I needed it. But I'm about to use this tub. This was $30. But it ended up going bad because I did not have enough people to continue getting those relaxers. So if you're gonna be doing relaxers, buy them where they come in individual bowls and you put the activator in it when you have that client. So that bowl is done, you still have the rest that's gonna be good. It doesn't have the activator in it. So go ahead.
Okay, so you know, when I say us, I mean black people, but you know how we say like a perm is just is the one that permanently straightens your hair and the relaxer.
That's a relaxer.
That's just, so what is the one that doesn't permanently straighten your hair, but it just loosens your curl up a little bit?
Texturizer, and that's still a relaxer. You're just not leaving it on the hair as long.
Okay.
And it's permanent, right?
And it's permanent. That until that curl, until your hair grows out, your natural curl, that whatever it loosens it to is gonna stay.
Okay. So it's less chemical?
It's the same. You still need to be careful. It's strengths to relaxers. When you're doing a regular relax, even when you're doing somebody who's getting a full relaxer who want it straight, you're gonna use mild, you're gonna use regular, or you're gonna use super. Sometimes they call it normal, sometimes they call it average, sometimes they call it sensitive, but it's levels to it. So when you're doing a texturizer, you're gonna use that mild, and you're gonna put it on in big sections and comb it through with a wide tooth comb and rinse it off immediately, because you just wanna stretch the curl out. If you leave it on too long, parts of it is going to get straight. You can use that same mild to straighten someone's hair. It's the same sodium hydroxide relaxer. The application process is just a little different.
And what is the chemical that they put in there? Because I remember when I got relaxers probably 2 or 3 times. And it's like a burning type feeling.
It's the lye that's in it. It's the lye that makes the hair straight. If your scalp is irritated in any type of way, let's say you sweat that morning, let's say your scalp got wet, your pH changed, you on your cycle, you drank coffee, you worked out. If you scratched your scalp, if she scratched your scalp when she was sexing you off, or if you just have sensitive scalp, it's going to burn. It's a chemical. Bleach can burn your scalp. Every chemical can burn your skin. Because you opening your pores. Any other questions?
No.
So these are the first parts. We're gonna mix these to our activator and our perm solution. Shake that up. This is after you've already rotted the hair. So you're gonna mix that after you rot the hair. You don't wanna mix your chemicals and they sitting there for an hour while you do something else. Mix it right when you're going to actually apply it to the hair. So once we let this sit on the hair by the manufacturer's instructions, we'll rinse all that off, and then we have our neutralizer. The neutralizer is going to be the last step. So these are the basic steps, but some of them come with like a leave-in conditioner, a leave-in oil. Some of them have like a curl activator you put at the end, but these are the basic steps that you would have to do your perm. So it's real easy.
You know how like when you was younger, like they used to put like Vaseline or grease on the iron edges. Do you still do that?
You should do that. Anytime you do a chemical, you should put protective cream around their hairline. And it's literally petroleum jelly or Vaseline. Most chemicals come with their own that's formulated to work with it, but let's say you ran out. Everybody got some Vaseline at their house. Ain't nobody in here who don't have no Vaseline. So use that, pull that petroleum jelly from under there. It may be Vaseline, it may be petroleum jelly, but it's the same thing. So pull that from under there, you can put it around their hairline, it keeps the color from staining, it keeps their skin from irritating, and do their ears too. It keeps, because that chemical is going to get on their hairline, so that's the most sensitive area. It just keeps them from irritating before you can get the chemical on and off.
So when you're rotting the hair has to be wet?
Yep. So you shampoo first, and if it dries out while you're going through, make sure you mist it and keep it wet all the way through. Because you want, when you put that chemical on there, every rod is wet the same amount, has the same amount of moisture, so that the chemical can process the same on each rod. Any other questions? So those are 3 components. One thing they used in the video are those end wraps. Now when you do it as a rod set, meaning temporarily, they're just getting their rods to curl their hair for that moment. They'll shampoo their hair and wear it a different way. You don't have to use those end wraps. But when you're doing a perm, the chemical, you need to put those end papers on the end because the ends are going to be frizzy. It'll stick to the rod and it won't curl properly like the rest of the hair. So you have to put those end papers. It's different ways you can do that end paper. They have a bookend wrap, they have a single flat wrap, and they have a double flat wrap. The one that we're going to use is going to be the double flat wrap. That's an end paper on top and an end paper on the bottom. That's going to keep all of that hair in the middle and ensure proper processing. That's exactly how you're going to do it at State Board. That's what they will be looking for. They don't want you to smash that hair at the end in a little triangle. They want you to spread that hair over that rod. So you're going to use 2 end wraps.
So does the processor, does it seep, like kind of seep through the paper?
Oh yeah, that paper thin. Yeah, it seeps through. Yeah. And then the stabilizers, we will not be using those, but I'll tell you why they use them. Because when you rod the hair, you cannot put those bands down to the scalp. What you'll notice once you start rodding today, your rod is going to be loose. You have to adjust your band so that it will be stable but not tight. If you put that rod all the way down to the scalp, as soon as you put that chemical on there, it's going to swell and you can hand that client their hair in that rod. That entire rod is going to have their hair in it. Anybody ever had a whole braid come out? Yeah, that's exactly how you can hand them that hair in that rod. So you do not want to put that band down to the scalp. You want the band right on top, like you can see theirs was right on top. And I'll be coming around to check y'all and see what y'all are doing. That's exactly what you do on your clients. That's exactly what you do when you go to State Board. On the flip side, let's say your client is just getting a rod set, the style for 2 weeks. You can put that band down a little tighter. There is no chemical going on their hair that is going to make it swell. Although after putting so many of them bands down, they get a little tight on, a little tension on their scalp. It may hurt a little bit, so be careful. But you can put those bands down like that. But if you're doing a permanent way, putting that chemical on that hair, that band cannot be all the way down to the scalp. You are going to fail State Board. Because the State Board is about safety and sanitation and protecting your client. And that's not safe. You just damaged their hair. So keep that in mind when we're doing our bands, and that's why they use those stabilizers, but they're not necessary, and we don't even have them. So if you want to purchase them and use them, you can, but we don't use them. We just do what we can do.
So like you want an inch from the root?
What you mean an inch from the root?
You say you don't, like.
You want your band to be right on top of the rod. You don't want to adjust your band where that band is laying right on the scalp. You want it right on top of the rod. And then with our sections, I sectioned her off so you can have an idea of how many sections you would have when you're rodding, but you cannot pre-section this. Can anybody tell me why?
Wait, what was the question?
Hmm?
The shape's gonna be different.
The shape of what?
The curl,
Of the curl or the rod?
yeah, the rod.
So yes, you cannot pre-section her because you don't know what size rod you're about to use. And you measure your sections by your rod. So you have to measure as you go. Now, if you get your rod and you wanna take your time and section all that out, to me, when I see people do that, it's a waste of time, just get the rods in the head. Cause you spend 30 minutes sectioning off that hair. The same for braiding, is my opinion, it's not wrong. I'm not a braider, maybe it do help you braid faster. But to me, just start braiding, baby. Just start getting them rods in that head, cause I don't wanna sit here and feel you going across my scalp like this 50 million times. Just get them in there. As you go, you can section, but with this, if you wanna section it off, pre-sections, you can, but for me, it don't work like that. I need to do it as I go. So you can try both if you want, and remember, you're gonna measure your sections by your rod, and I'll show y'all what that looks like in just a moment. But this, I just did this so y'all can see how many sections you will have if you're actually doing the rectangular perm. So this is gonna be the basic perm, basic rectangular perm, straight back off the face that your clients will ask for. And mostly it's older women, they don't even wear the curl pattern. They literally just get it so cause their hair is so straight and fine, they just want some texture. They still go and round brush their hair or do other things to their hair, they just want that extra texture to it. So they don't really care how you rod it. So this is the basics of it. Any other questions? So I'm gonna show y'all her, I'm gonna make sure she's down. And the wetter it is, the better. So since I'm using these peach color rods, I'm going to measure how wide my section is by these bumps on this rod. Not the end of the rod and not the, when you get your rod you'll see, not the bumps on the end because the hair is going to fall off. There are some bumps right here next to these circles. You're going to use anywhere in that. It's not, wherever you want to do it is your choice, but do not use the ones on the end because the hair will fall off and it won't process properly. So I'm gonna use like this middle section that has nothing on it as my, how I'm gonna measure my center section, because you're gonna start in the center. And I kinda had it pre-sectioned because I'll use these rods multiple times, so I kinda eyeball it. So that's what my center section will look like. Coming from the front. Now how wide do I want that section? No wider than this circle part of the rod. No wider than that diameter of that rod. So I'm gonna literally put it at her hairline and section right behind it. So I'm going to make sure I wet that hair. We're still practicing keeping our tools in our hand. I'm gonna comb it up so it'll be half off the base. If you try to do on base, it won't sit properly. If you do off base, all of your rods won't fit on. So I'm gonna comb it up, and I'm going to put my first end wrap on there.
What do you mean on base, off base? What that mean?
The head is the base. So if you direct this hair all the way over and roll it back, it's gonna make it sit right up on the head. If you comb it towards you, it's gonna be off the base, which is the head. If you comb it straight up, it'll be half off base, meaning it'll sit not too far on the head, but not down from the head. And for me, my comb helps me get it on there if I have an issue. So what I should have did, let me show y'all. Once you get your paper on there, spray it so that hair will stick. If you notice your hair is moving around and not giving you no act right, spray it. So now I can get this paper on without that hair falling off. So I'm gonna make sure my hair is between both of those papers, and then now I'm gonna rod it. I start here in the middle of my paper, pull my hair up and rod all the way down. And I kind of rock as I go down. If one side is loose, I rock that way so I can kind of get some even tension on that rod. Then I'm gonna place my band right across the front, just like that. It's gonna be a little loose, but it won't be too tight or too loose. So I'm not gonna roll that band down like that. I'm gonna bring it up. If it's in this groove, adjust it, take it out. It does not have to be in that little groove. Your band is gonna be just like that, right across the front. All of your bands, when someone walk over, they should be able to see your band right there. They shouldn't have to move your rod to see your band.
So there's different ways to like lay the papers.
Mm-hmm. But the one we're gonna use is the one I'm showing y'all, the double one. bottom. And one on the top. And once you wet it, everything just don't stick. If it's dry, you're gonna have hell trying to get it in between these two papers. Your paper doesn't have to be perfect. You wanna work on getting them a little neater, but for now, you wanna make sure that hair is between there and you're rolling your raw down properly and not making that band too tight. And so, I'm gonna leave my bands just like that. So today, we're gonna try to get at least this first middle row down, and I'll come around and help everybody. We can get set up. This is going to be a chemical drape. So you're gonna put a neck strip, cape, and a neck strip on top, okay? So 2 neck strips.